Greetings and welcome to a summer edition of Montpelier Connection. I'm State Representative Mike Mrowicki, and we are going to start taking a look at the legislative session that just adjourned and look at what's happening near and far. Just wanted to start a little bit with what I'm hearing a lot from people, that there are big concerns about the federal budget and how it will impact Vermont and how it will impact the whole country. One of the good things to come out of that is that the concerns about Medicaid funding are real, but that they have deferred what they're going to do in regards to Medicaid for a year from now, after the 2026 elections. So hopefully between now and then there can be some changes, but there are not going to be some immediate effects, and that's really good because we can talk about this later. The challenges to our Vermont medical system are already pretty rigid, and we need to take a good hard look at that. Today we have Senator Wendy Harrison as our guest, and to celebrate her, we have the background of the Vermont Senate. So I want to thank the people here at BCTV for doing that. And
thank you.
do you want to share with people where your seat is?
Sure. My seat is the fifth one, right in the middle of that outside ring. And Senator Hashim sits next to me because the Senate has specific seats. You all are more flexible with your seating, but we have designated seats for the counties and the districts. So the Wyndham two are next to each other, and we sit next to the Windsor. And it's great to have this because sitting in that seat just reminds me of the role, and that it's when I'm there, I'm not there as myself. I'm there as one of the senators from Wyndham District. Yeah. And so there were people who came before me, and there will hopefully be people who come after me. Yeah.
We stand on the shoulders of giants.
Right. And it's just important to think about the constituents, and obviously collectively we work for the state.
You bet.
And it's a responsibility, and especially with what's happening with the federal government, I feel very grateful to have a focus and an opportunity to make things better. Yeah. We can't change. We can't. The federal government obviously has a lot of power, but we have power too. Yeah. And local and state.
And we are paying attention to what's happening in Washington with the budgets, and we do have plans in place, contingencies, if things change. But it looks like right now our budget is set, their budget is set, and I don't think we have to worry for another year. But with the current president, we don't know from day to day what's going to happen. I think that's one of the things that's starting to hurt business here and across the world, that businesses want stability. And they don't want changes the way they're going back and forth, up and down like a roller coaster. And I think we're starting to look at one of the things that may hurt business, and that's the debt and deficit that we're carrying, because they're now larger than even military spending in this country, and that could affect long-term and short-term growth. So we are watching that. A lot of things happening in Vermont, though, and appreciate your work and our whole delegation, I should say. We have really a strong delegation that works well together in a lot of areas, and there's a lot to cover, and we'll do what we can. Senate has 2 committees.
Yes, each of us serve on 2 committees. I serve on the Transportation Committee, and then I'm chair of the Institutions Committee. Yep. And that's the committee that handles the capital funding, the capital bill.
Yep. Transportation, certainly a big issue. Remember, we spoke with some high school students recently, and surprising to me, but maybe it shouldn't be, that their top issue was we need more transportation. If you don't have a car, if you don't have a license, you're really stuck around here.
Right.
What kind of things came out of committee this year?
Just relative to federal funding, we did get an update from the administration about federal funding. And funding for roadways and bridges is generally safe. A lot of that funding was already sent to the state or obligated to the state because those bills are 6-year bills. But I appreciate you bringing up the students, and I'm a big advocate for non-automobile transportation because that is something that young people and older people, and a lot of folks are interested in non-automobile transportation just for health reasons, for ecological reasons, and for just affordability. Because what they found is if you can have a 1-car family instead of a 2-car family, it makes a big difference in your family finances. And we're supposed to be all about affordability. And so having a 1-car family that really should, if people want to do that, they should be able to. Yeah. And one way that they can is if we have a good, robust bus system. Yeah. And you may have heard about the micro-moo. Unfortunately, it was canceled after just 1 year of operation. I'm hoping that we can find a way to bring it back. Can
you share a little bit about what that was?
Yeah, so what it is, microtransit is, instead of having a fixed route, which is a bus that goes to specific places on a specific schedule, which is a really important thing. Fixed route is really helpful. The microtransit is similar to Uber, where you make a reservation and you call or on an app ask for a ride to and from certain places that are within the district. In this case, the area that was served was the town of Brattleboro. Yeah. So it's a relatively small area, and the purpose of this particular service was to help folks get to jobs, especially second and third shift jobs, so nighttime jobs. And it was really helpful to me to go on the bus, and I went on it twice to see where the people went. Mm-hmm. And some of them were young people from SAT, who were at SAT. They had multiple jobs. And one individual had a bicycle that he was able to take. So the micro-moo took him from SAT to one job, and then 4 hours later came and took him to another job. And then he was riding his bike in the middle of the night because that was the only thing he had to do. But the first gentleman who was who used the service that day and had been doing it worked at CNS Print Shop. Okay, if you're familiar with that, is on Putney Road. And he was able to get home using the micro-moo. His partner has a job in Keene, and she's able to get the kids. Oh, okay. And so they do have a car, but they don't want to have another car. Sure. It's very expensive. So I don't know what he's doing now. He's having a hard time.
Well, hopefully we can get that going again.
Yes.
And then more, because I think there's a growing need for people who would avail themselves of that for lots of reasons.
Oh, definitely. And I know people who moved to Brattleboro because we have not just transit, but it's also a very walkable community. Yeah. I live downtown, and I was noticing the other day that I hadn't gotten in my car for like 4 days, and I had gotten out of the house. Yeah.
Housing.
Yes.
Housing has been one of the top concerns for us. We have a shortage of housing.
Yes.
As they do across the country. I think Ezra Klein's new book, Abundance, talks about this in a way that says we need to take a good look in the mirror about who has been stopping housing from happening across the country.
Right.
And anyway, we've been doing some good things around that. The VHIP program is one, trying to help infill housing. We created VHIP 2, which is mostly state money and less restrictive. The CHIP program.
Right.
Can you say something about that?
Yeah, the CHIP program is exciting. And the CHIP program is intended to be a mini TIF. And what a TIF is it's a way of financing large areas with tax increment financing is the TIF. But it's pretty complicated, and a lot of towns just don't have the capacity to do it. But what a CHIP does is it allows towns...
And what does CHIP stand for?
What does CHIP?
Community
Housing Infrastructure Program.
Yeah, okay.
Because what's the challenge both operationally and financially is often infrastructure, often water and sewer.
Yeah.
Because you can build a single home with septic and wells, but once you get into any kind of density, you really need public water and sewer, and preferably both. So what the CHIP does is it is a funding mechanism where a town can receive a grant, essentially, that will be paid back through the increase in the value of the property that is allowed to be built because of the infrastructure. So it's a way of financing infrastructure, which is mostly water and sewer, but it's more flexible than just water and sewer. And VEPC is the board that will manage the program, and I sit on that board, and I sit also on a subcommittee which is working on the guidelines for the CHIP, and we just started that last week. So we'll have that ready in the fall.
And how do people access that?
There's a website.
Okay.
Which I don't have the.
We can get
I
that.
can get it for you.
Put the graphics up later.
All of the information is on the CHIP website.
Okay.
And we meet weekly, so it would be great if the public is interested. Watch us, and if you have questions or comments, that would be helpful too.
Well, I know when VHIP first started, it was going a little slow, and then it started to catch on, and before we knew it, we had expended all the funds we budgeted. So we've been keep increasing it, and it seems to be proved popular, and I think it all helps.
Right.
Any housing we add to the mix helps.
Right, and the changes that we made, so we made the changes with VHIP, and then we also made very big changes with Act 250.
Yeah, that's right.
And we have the interim exemptions that have been in effect for about a year now, and those are really showing promise. And at least here in Brattleboro, last year we had more permits permits for housing units than we had since 1989.
That's incredible.
And so, yes,
Good news.
so we really are building housing, and it's important. And now we need to make sure that the housing that gets built gets used, because a problem that we do have in Vermont is that folks, there are people who just want to come here for a few weeks, and there are houses that are only used for a few days. A year.
We're doing something about that too.
We are.
In regards to how we're going to be taxing them.
Right, and you
second homes.
Right, so, and I'm not in the committee for that. You might know more about that than I do. But
probably Emily Kornheiser can tell us
you
a
should
lot
have
more
her
about
on.
and we will. She's busy doing the Governor's Institute right now.
Right.
So, but it's one of the things I heard regularly about that people were upset that people that could afford a second home were paying actually a lower tax rate. And I think we've tried to level the playing field and said, well, it's a good point. There's a lot of ways that income inequality shows up, and there's a few ways that we can address that, and this is one of them.
Definitely.
I think in general, people look around the country and see, especially with the tax breaks that were just given again to the upper 1%, that we're taking money and shoving it upwards towards people who really don't need those tax breaks. So I think wherever we can level the playing field a little bit and make taxation a little more fair, we should do that. Some of the other things we're working on, one of the piece of good news we heard this year is the money we put towards childcare.
Yes.
Has created 1,000 new slots. We still have a waiting list, but we did a lot, and the pennies that are coming out of your paycheck are really adding up and making a difference. So that's something I wanted to make sure we mentioned. You have been recently appointed to a committee that's gotten a lot of publicity this year. As we went into this session after the last election, the governor built up even more strength. He was overwhelmingly reelected. He took a lot of his money and his efforts and time, and he worked hard to get a lot more Republicans elected, which meant we lost our supermajority and the ability to override any vetoes. So basically, he gets the last word, and he flexed that muscle a lot this year. And we started the session with his plan to change the way we fund education and governance structures. I think his initial plan called for 5 districts statewide,
yes,
which would have been about 16,000 students per district. There was a lot of back and forth. There's going to be a structure set up to do that, and you've been appointed to that?
Yes, Mike. I'm on the redistricting task force.
Right.
And what that group is doing, and we were just appointed day before yesterday.
Yeah.
And our job is to come up with 3 maps of potential districts in the state.
Yeah. So more than 5?
More than 5 districts. Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. The final legislation ended up saying it needed to be between. It'll be between 10 and 20 districts, probably.
Yeah. So.
But then there might be some scooch room in one of the maps, because one of the maps has to include supervisory union, so you could have more districts in a supervisory union.
Yeah.
And I think what's really important is, and something that I'm focusing on is determining what is most valuable to kids and teachers and families about our system right now. Because my kids went to public schools, I went to public schools, and what was most important was the teacher and the school itself, the individual schools, was what we focused on.
And we certainly don't want to impact that negatively.
Right.
So the challenge is that as we saw, and as I heard, a lot of us heard, we heard from people who saw tax increases that were just not sustainable. I heard from a lot of people, especially retired people,
Right.
disabled people, people on strictly fixed incomes who said, I just can't pay this. And across the state, people were having similar experiences, that we had to, the balance we try for of a quality education at a price we can afford got out of balance. And we had to try and bring it back there. And I think we did a lot of work. I think the governor moved a lot towards us. You know, we tried to get the best deal we could. And, you know, he didn't stay stuck at that place of saying, I'm going to have 5 districts and that it. He did move.
Oh, I agree. And he moved also in the class sizes, because I am not a fan of minimum class sizes. I don't like that part of the bill. But the number that is required for each went up, which makes that less of an issue.
Yeah. And the timeline for doing this.
The timeline is good, because nothing happens if these maps, if at least one of these maps is not approved by the legislature, then everything else stops.
Yeah.
But something that has already happened that I'm in favor of is the way that we fund private schools has changed. And we'll be funding fewer private schools. There will be fewer of them. We have more than 50 now that get funding, and it'll be less than 10, I believe. We don't know the exact numbers yet. And the amount that the private schools will have to have, the tuition to the private schools will be the same amount that the public schools get. Because right now they can just tell towns that they need to pay more. And
we were seeing that in some places.
Right.
And I agree. I think public tax money should stay in public schools.
I do too.
And I think that's going to be an ongoing piece. And I know in some parts of Vermont that just didn't have a public school, that there were private schools like Burton.
Right, especially the high schools and the
became
legacy
the de facto
schools. Right.
Public school.
Right.
And you know, those are the quirks of Vermont that we have to work with, and I think we can work around that. And I'm glad we're going to engage now in a 3-year process. I think we need to take our time with this. This is too important to rush into, and it's one of the things I agree that the governor did move on also, because he wanted this to happen a lot faster. But he moved on his position. You know, there was a lot of work, a lot of compromise, and so getting to this place here, let's see how it goes, that whole process.
Right.
So when does that committee start its work?
That committee will start, it's supposed to start by August 1st.
Okay.
So that's pretty soon.
Yeah. And how big is the committee?
It is about 15, I believe, something.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that, and we hope we can hear more from that before the next session starts and how the progress goes, because it's a big piece, you know, it's a big change in Vermont. We've been doing things the same way for over 30 years, and it's probably time we looked at that. But like I said, the last election sure pushed things in a way that made us act
Right.
a lot sooner than we might have, and in ways that we might not have otherwise. But I think it's clear that we need to continue to work for that balance of quality education at a price we can afford, and it's a big piece for affordability in Vermont.
Right, right. But the quality education is so critical.
Yep.
And we've been justly proud of
Sure.
our
Yeah.
education system.
Yep.
So we need to keep that. And I'm focusing also on outside of Chittenden County areas. That's a big reason for me being there.
Yeah.
Is
glad
to
you're
represent
there.
us.
And we, you know, we have a lot of good things going on in our schools.
We do.
I represent Putney and Dummerston. We got great principals at both of those schools. I'd like to think, especially Putney, we've got a principal and the staff that are really dedicated to being with our students, to going to where they are, to help them learn, and it's great to see that we can do that in Vermont. We want to continue to support that as best we can.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we want people to move here.
Yeah.
And our schools are a definite incentive.
You bet. It was one of the things we thought about, and I know when my kids went to school in Putney, we had 300 kids in the school.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of room to grow if we want to. We've got 185 now, and that includes pre-K. So we've got the room.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can bring some more housing online and bring that next generation in.
Right.
So one of the
And
things.
speaking of kids.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, I'm just very excited about what we were able to do with the Kids Code.
Yes.
It's Act 63,
Really
and relative to the federal government, the kind of protection that we need in the of the internet, protecting children from online harm.
A lot of
should have
predators
been
out there.
done. Should have been done years ago, and should have been done by the federal government. But they were not able to act because the companies are very powerful.
Yep.
So it's up to the states, and states are responding. And pretty much anything we do is going to go to court.
Yep.
We had a bill last session that just didn't quite make it, but this session, and I'm really happy that we were able to do it in the first year of the session, we had a really tight bill that we called Kids Code, but it's age-appropriate design, and what it does is it focuses on the algorithms and the way that the programs target kids rather than the content, because most of the legal challenges that states have lost have been because of freedom of speech. First
Amendment.
Right, right, exactly. So, so we should be able to not have that be an issue, and it's pretty easy to prove. Unfortunately, it's easy to show the harms of harms to children of things like infinite scroll and the pangs. I mean, kids aren't able to sleep. So one of the things that the bill prohibits are notifications between midnight and 6 a.m. so that kids can actually sleep. And then we were talking earlier about just gruesome stories that it was hard to talk about them in that chamber, but I had to talk about them so that people would know. We've had Instagram in particular is a place where pedophiles go because there is easy access to young girls. And we talked about that last year. And 2 girls in Williston who were, one of them was raped, the other was her friend and was with her. And so that was what we heard about last year. This year we heard about people actually getting killed. And
killing themselves.
Killing themselves, right. Getting harassed and bullied online, and some of this is not their peers. Some of this, these are adults who, there was actually an FBI statement out on it warning people, and it's really awful what they do.
The predators that are out there are despicable. It's dangerous for our kids, and it's unfortunate, again, as you said, the federal government doesn't have the courage to protect our kids, and these companies don't. So we're doing it, and I appreciate. I also wanted to mention this was bipartisan work.
Oh, definitely.
Both in the House and Senate.
Yes.
The Commerce Committee is chaired by a Republican.
Yes.
Mike Marcotte.
Yes, and he's wonderful. I love working with him. No, we were a team on this.
One of the best, and there was a lot more bipartisan work that happened this year, and that may be a good thing that came out of the election, because we need to work better together. And this was an example of where everybody really came together.
Right.
The votes were overwhelming.
Yes.
And
the governor signed it, which was great. And then a similar bill was the phones, the phone-free schools. And so that will help also.
I think.
And the two of them together really do protect our children.
We're doing it already in Putney. And the kids come in the morning, they hand their phones off, they put them in the yonder bag, and the principal said it just buzzes all day long.
Oh, I bet.
But the kids are interacting more. They're interacting with each other, they're interacting with faculty, and it's a real benefit, and it hasn't been a real problem for the kids. The kids are actually liking this.
That's what I've heard. That's what we learned too, is that the kids, they don't want to be the only one not to have their phone.
Right.
But if everybody doesn't have a phone, then that's a different situation.
So it's an example of where the adults have to set limits, and when you do that, for the most part, kids will understand. And, And we could do better about modeling, and not be the ones standing there doom scrolling with our phone too.
That's true. And then teachers are happier too. What I heard was that teachers who were thinking about retiring, when after they were in a school that didn't have the phones anymore, they decided to stay. So there you go. Helps our workforce.
So we've only got a couple minutes left. Are there some other things that you want to highlight?
Well, let me just talk about rail. About trains, if that's okay.
You can rail on about rail.
And it's a good topic for me. And so as a member of the Transportation Committee, I was appointed to the Rail Council. And that gave me an opportunity to work with the staff on updating the rail plan. So this is a plan for both passenger rail and for freight. And it has a new draft. It'll be finalized by the legislature when we go back. And we were able to get some additional, or at least have on the list some additional passenger rail service to our area. We've been thinking and still planning for a second Vermonter for years, but now there's another opportunity, which is the Valley Flyer, which is a train, it's an Amtrak train that goes from Connecticut up to Greenfield, Massachusetts. And they are interested, Greenfield in particular, is interested in coming up farther north. And so we might be able to get that up to White River Junction,
That'd be great.
which would help all of us
Sure would.
in there.
Is there any talk of any light rail?
No, not really, because that would take complete new infrastructure.
Okay.
So I'd love to redo the trolleys. There were trolleys, and these are historic trolleys. There was one in Brattleboro.
Yeah.
I just saw a picture of one from Rockingham to Saxons River.
Yep.
So just
The trains were
short.
essential too.
Right.
One of your predecessors, Senator Bob Gannett, grew up in Putney on Old Depot Road, and I remember him telling me he used to walk down and take the train to Brattleboro High School, where we are right now.
Oh, that's great.
The old high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So transportation, train.
And
Great if we get more of that up here.
definitely. And then we need the bus to connect with the train so
yeah.
that people have a way to get where they're
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. The way they do in Rutland when the ski train comes up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that works well.
So that's exciting because that helps. That actually makes everything more affordable for Vermonters too.
Yeah. Yeah. I did want to mention before we leave, we worked on some big things, but I think we've got another big thing we're going to have to take a look at, and that's our medical system,
Yes.
our healthcare system, insurance system here. As we heard towards the end of the session, we have a number of hospitals that are struggling in Vermont. 9 out of our 14 hospitals are losing money. Our main private insurer, Blue Cross Blue Shield, I think our mix is Blue Cross Blue Shield insures about 30% of Vermonters, about 30% are on Medicaid or Green Mountain Healthcare, about 30% on Medicare, and there's about 10% from MVP and Cigna and some others. But Blue Cross Blue Shield of Vermont's in trouble.
Yes. And they almost had a
losing
really
money.
bad.
They just had to borrow $30 million
Yeah.
from Blue Cross Michigan so they could pay claims this year. And that's why health insurance costs are so high, and we've got to do something to bring that down. We did some things to address costs this year, but it's going to be, I think, one of the biggest issues looking ahead to next year. So we want to hear from people and your experiences with what's happening. I think people are frustrated that they're paying more and getting less.
Right.
Wait times are up, and no one's happy. The providers are not happy, the insurance companies are not happy, or the patients are not happy, and that seems to me to indicate a system that needs to get fixed.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
So that's something else that we need to
And pharmacies.
take a look at. Pharmacies. Climate is another big issue, and we had to continually fight off attempts from the administration this year to roll back some of our climate actions, and I hope next year we can start to roll forward again. But between what's happening in Washington and with the governor's inability to see the benefits of climate action, I think we're in a tough place right now. We're just trying to hold our own on that. As we have to sign off in a few minutes, I just wanted to address something I've been hearing from people. And does it matter to go out? Does it matter to go out and be part of the resistance protests, to go out and hang signs over the interstate? And I would say it does. One of the things we need to make sure is people hear our voices in lots of ways. And one of the things elected officials can do is they can count. And the more of us that get out there, the more of us that are showing that we're not happy with the way things are, we're not happy especially with what's happening in Washington, that they're taking notice of that. So we need to keep doing that. We need to keep trying to show, get out there, resist. As Hakeem Jeffries says, we need to show up, we need to stand up, we need to speak up. And I encourage everyone to resist however you can. It all helps. And as we sign off here,
Yeah, let me just, can I add to that just
Sure,
one
you
thing?
bet.
Because we, as you know, we're up in Montpelier for the week, and on Fridays when I would come back, and
Yep.
when I timed it, I didn't time it intentionally, but when I happened to go under the bridges where
Yep.
people were waiting and having signs, it was a really good feeling.
Yeah.
Because you know you're not alone.
Yeah.
because a lot of people feel very isolated and afraid.
Yeah.
And just to see other people getting out, it's really important.
It is. It's important to. It's a good point that we can get isolated in Vermont, and this is a way to bring us together.
Yeah.
And so let's keep doing it. Whatever we do helps.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you for yours.
And thank you for the folks at BCTV for all their work and for helping to bring our work closer to you. So until next time, this is Mike Mrowicki. Bye-bye now.